On this edition of Talking Preps, we are pleased to be joined by Tim Buchanan, the head football coach at Aledo, a Texas legend, if I do say. Welcome, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. And yourself?
Oh, it's as good as possible under quarantine.
Yeah, I can imagine. So tell me, how has this affected what you've been able to do with your football team, and how have you compensated for having to go virtual?
Well, we went home for spring break. I guess it was second week of March, and we thought we were going to be back in a week, and then we get word that it's going to be 3 weeks, and then we get word that it's going to be May, and then now we've got word that we're not going to get them back till possibly July the 6th, and what happens is you lose control, and coaches, you know how coaches are. We hate to lose control. We don't see our kids daily right now. We're sending them workouts via Google Classroom, Sports U apps. I mean, we're trying to do everything we can, right, to stay in contact with our kids. But honestly, we have no idea if they're actually doing the workouts or not. Some of them are sending us videos of their workouts, and the hardest thing is for the kids is to find a place that they can do strength and conditioning work. All of them can go out and run, but doing strength and conditioning is probably the hard on our kids right now because not all of them have a weight room in their garage.
Yeah, no question. And is that one of the things that when we do get back to normal, is there going to need to be a time to just work on conditioning before you get involved in anything else?
Well, back to when I came to Aledo in 1993, I was the fifth head coach in 4 years. They hadn't had an off season, a true off season in 5 years, much less a summer strength and conditioning program. And our injuries at that time, we had 4 ACL injuries in the first 4 weeks of football. And the reason I bring that up is because, you see programs, strength and conditioning, and what people really don't realize is that the majority of our strength and conditioning is injury prevention. It's not so much to build bigger, stronger football players, but to help keep kids safe, regardless if it's football or basketball or the sport. But we're trying to keep them safe, and by not having our kids since March, so we're looking at now March, April, May, June, and maybe July. So that's 5 months without a strength and conditioning program. So we worry about injuries. The UIL is talking about, and our coaches association, they're all talking about giving us the kids July the 6th. And if that happens, we're going to need a good 4 to 6 weeks to get our kids back into the type of shape they're typically into the fall camp in August. And it just doesn't happen overnight. I mean, we're going to have to get the kids, and they're going to have to go to work. Now, if they're going to give us any extra days or not in Texas, I don't know, because when you look at it, our state championships are right before Christmas. I believe they're scheduled to be on the 21st or 22nd of December. And with that happening on those dates, we can't start any later because that would push us, playing state championship games after Christmas. So we really have to start about the same time. So what we're asking for is to get our kids 5 days a week during July, and to try to get them in better shape before the starts in August.
And obviously conditioning is a big part of it, but let's also talk about player development. Summer's a time when when players can, and with spring practice, even though you were limited, that's a time for players to develop and improve. Is this going to affect player development? And if so, how much?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the UIL gives us spring training for the larger schools in Texas. We get our kids 18 practices during spring football that we did not get this year. With the compensate for not having that, we get an extra week of practice in August. But heck, you can't get 18 workouts in 6 days. So it's impossible to get the workouts in that we would have had. Not to mention we all have a 60-minute athletic period, or majority of schools have a 60-minute athletic period in the months of March and April before we start spring football in May. That we get to work with our kids and do things. June, we typically get our kids for an hour to two a week now, or we did this past summer. We got them for an hour to two a week to work skills and player development. So there's a lot of stuff that our kids are missing. The thing about it is, in Texas, everybody's in the same boat, so nobody's getting ahead of the others per se. But if this would have happened to the Bearcats a year ago, when we had a quarterback returning who had already won one state championship and played in two, and a tailback who had played in three, and offensive lineman who had played. I mean, we had a veteran team last year. So this wouldn't have impacted us as much as it is this year. We've got a kid kids that are going to come try to play quarterback that have never started a varsity football game at quarterback for us. So it's definitely going to impact us, and we're trying to do things right now to make up for that. We've got coaches through Google Classroom sending our playbook and trying to do our installs for our offensive and defensive systems, but we're not getting to practice it. We're doing the mental reps, but we're not doing the physical reps, and probably won't get to do those until sometime in July.
Yeah, that's one thing. Everybody's doing all this stuff virtually, but still, you got to have hands-on, active participation to make a difference, and that's.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, we're not playing. We're not doing PlayStation football.
At least not yet.
Physically execute.
Yeah, and that's one thing you all do so well. You won the state title this last year, UIL record 9th state title. Your first back as head football coach after being AD for 5 years. How rewarding was that to come back and lead the Bearcats back to a title?
Well, it was special, and I appreciate the fact that Dr. Bone, our superintendent, and Steve Wood, our new athletic director, actually let me come back. When I got out 5 years ago, Aledo had grown. When I got to Aledo in 1993 as the athletic director and head football coach, we had 17 kids playing football at that time in high school.
Wow.
And we grew to a school with over 250 playing in high school. We have over 1,800 kids in high school. When I got here, we didn't have 1,700 kindergarten through 12th grade. So it grew so much that trying to be the AD and the head football coach without an assistant AD, heck, we didn't even have a secretary at that time. It was just too much, so I stepped back to be just the AD, and Coach Wood took over, and he did a great job winning 3 state championships in those 5 years that he was the head coach. And he decided that he was going to come be the AD, and I was getting out, and somehow, some way, we worked out a deal where I got to come back and coach again, and I really miss coaching and being around kids. So I'm excited. I was extremely excited.
How did your style change as a result of having some time off?
The biggest thing for me was I wasn't quite as I'm not going to say I didn't have the same fire and get after kids and get after coaches and and do things. But I missed it, and I enjoyed it more. I'm gonna say that I enjoyed coaching more, and didn't feel the stress of coaching that you normally feel quite as much this time as what I did previously. You know, when you step back for 5 years and you realize what you miss, and that's being around kids and being around the game of football. You know, winning's fun. I mean, I love to win, but that's not the biggest part of it. It's just being around kids, watching them grow and watching them develop into better young men, and turning out to be good kids. That's what made it so much more fun this time as opposed to last time. I put way too much pressure on myself the first 21 years as a head coach.
Yeah, I would imagine that patience has probably served you well during this pandemic as well.
Oh, it has, and you know, if this would have happened, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, oh, I'd have been pulling my hair out. I'd have been going just back crap crazy. But this is it's been, you know, and I talk to the kids every day about don't worry about things you can't control. The only thing you can control is yourself. So do that. Control your attitude. And we can't control this pandemic. We can't control a virus. All we can do is control ourselves, and so that's what we talk about. That's what we try to do. We talk about taking care of the little things, and the big things will fall into place if we'll do that.
It's an easy thing to say. It's a lot harder to do, isn't it not?
Oh, it's and that's with anything in life. You know, it's easy to say it. Doing it's another thing.
Well, speaking of doing it, do you have time to take our quick quiz?
Sure.
All right, here we go. Hold on. When things finally open up, we'd be more likely to take the family out for a haircut or to dine out at a restaurant.
First thing I'm gonna do is get a haircut. It's I finally shaved, but my hair's getting a little shaggy.
I am with you there. Do you
The
play?
the mullet's coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, Gundy will like that. Do you play a musical instrument?
No, I played the trumpet in sixth grade. The band director, I'm the only person in the history of Killeen Independent School District band classes that they ever bought their instrument back, and I made money. They wanted me out of band.
Oh, my goodness. Which are you more likely to grill, beef, chicken, or pork?
Oh, I'll take all of them, but I love a good beef steak.
Yeah, are they hard to find down there? They're getting hard to find up here.
No, actually, we've done it. You know, I'm a big hunter, so I eat a lot of venison, so we've got plenty of meat. Meat's not something that we have a shortage of right
Well,
now.
that's good. Last movie you saw at the theater?
Oh, golly. Heck, I don't remember going to it's been such a long time. You know, as a football coach, you don't go to the theater, or I don't. But I can't even, to be honest with you, I know it was a comedy, but I can't remember what the heck it was. That's how long ago it's been.
Okay, I got you. And our last question, which have you spent more time doing, cleaning out the garage or doing yard work?
Yard work. I've put down sod, got 10 yards of topsoil that we put in gardens and flower beds by hand, by wheelbarrow. So I'm a little bit better shape than I was before all this started.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I think all of us are kind of putting off the garage as long as we can.
Oh, I've done that too, but I spent more time outside. I'd prefer to be outside as in a dusty old garage.
Yes, no question about it. Well, sir, thank you so much for your time this morning. Hopefully things will get back to normal, and let's get back together and talk Bearcat football for the 2020 fall season.
I'll be really excited when we get back and get the kids back. So thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye bye.